Welcome to the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
Yo, what it do? Thanks for joining. This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast. My name is U. That's the letter U, not the word. And I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Again, my name is U, letter, not the word. And I am your host, What It Do. And you can find this podcast, videocast, at most places where you're going to get your podcasts from, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, so forth, so on, and what have you. You can also find this this live stream on Facebook, Twitter. That Twitter name is IMUINKC, or you can find it on the Chiefs Focus network page, which is Chiefs Focus, all one word. And that's also who this is sponsored by. Shout out to Chiefs Focus. Yes, sir. I normally do this thing once a week, normally on Wednesdays. Sometimes I do it earlier. Sometimes I do it later in the week. If you set up your notifications, you can know when I'm on. And you can interact with the show with me by joining the StreamYard stream, the Chiefs Focus Twitch stream, or you can hit up YouTube on Chiefs Focus for the YouTube page. Again, I thank you for listening. This is going to be a shorter show than normal. This week's kind of been difficult for various reasons for me, but hey, we here, and that's all that matters. And we know the schedule has been released. Release the schedule. Release the schedule. And for a lot of people, that means that, you spending your hard-earned money to go see the product that's on the field. So a lot of people are circling dates that they plan to go see these games. They are predicting different situations for different teams, because mainly the team that you want to be constructed has already been constructed, right? You have your free agency period, you have your draft, and those are mainly typically those the biggest contributors to the team. Now, of course, you got your older guys that don't want to go to camp, so they're going to sign after camp in an effort to not go to training camp. You're obviously going to have that. And you're going to have various things like that. But your main guys, the guys that you plan to go to war with, or as it were, the guys that you plan on dealing with are pretty much in-house, and you're probably not going to pick up a handful of people. You're probably only going to pick up 1, 2 tops. So what you see is what you get basically right now. And so the games are set in stone, and apparently the NFL did it different this year. The NFL decided, look, all games are free agents. It used to be back in the day that Fox had the NFC, CBS had the AFC for home games. Whoever had the home game was the NFC and AFC. Now, the NFL has decided all our games are free agents, baby. Y'all bid on these bad boys, and we will flex when we need to flex. We will do whatever we need to do. But the NFL has figured out a way to print money, and they are going to continue to print money as long as the printing press keeps going. And this is a way to do it. So that means you can't have more than 2 Thursday night football games for the teams, which, that helps. But then there's also the situation where Monday nights, Sunday nights, NBC, CBS, and Fox are all fighting for the same stuff. Amazon has their share on Thursday nights, and apparently they're getting a Friday night game. Friday night, what do they call it? Black Friday. So I'll call it Black Light Friday. But it's a lot of new stuff going on with the NFL, and they are ready for y'all to be a part of that situation. And I don't want to say I'm here for it, but I am. And I'm interested in how this will do moving forward as far as part of me, I'm thinking, and excuse the off the cuff nature of the show, but some of this is off the cuff. But we see the NFL printing money as I just said. The NFL has been printing money, and all good things come to an end. I wonder how long will the NFL get away with just doing whatever they want? Because essentially that's what they're doing. They are, at first they had, they considered basketball season, but they coming for that now. They considered college football. They coming for that now, the schedule as far as that's concerned. And whatever else is happening there, they're coming for it. Anything happening within the football schedule realm, they're coming for it all. They forget you. Who's next? So we've been saying for a while the NFL is king. They're here to prove it. And I'm interested to see how far consumers are willing to let this go. Because all good things come to an end, all of them. And I'm not saying that the NFL is going to close shop or anything, but I do know at some point that, everything loses steam, loses momentum, loses popularity. I don't know when the NFL plans to do it, but they're gonna milk this cow dry before it does. Let's move on into it. First of all, I want to let's look at the Black Friday game, because I think that's one of the bigger ones that we have, because Thanksgiving itself already has 3 significant games. Well, let's put it like this. For the better part of the existence of Thursday Night Football, it's only really been 1 to 2 significant games. They only recently started doing 3, if I'm not mistaken. But that Lions game was never anything significant. And people have been clamoring for years to get the Lions off of Thursday Night Football, off of Thanksgiving football. But here we are. This year, looks like they actually could be forming a formidable team. So the Black Friday game, I said Black Friday, Thanksgiving. I don't know what I was saying, but Black Friday's game, the day after Thanksgiving, is Black Friday. And Black Friday game is going to be an AFC East battle against the Dolphins and the Jets, which is interesting because, of course, the Dolphins did make the playoffs last year. The Jets missed the playoffs by, I want to say, one to 2 games. But now the Jets have Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see what happens. It's interesting. And, both teams have a lot of questions swirling around their organizations, because you never know what could happen. Tua and his concussions is an issue. Will the team even be the same? Does Tyreek still have it? All these, so many questions. Things happen from year to year. Can they stay healthy? The Jets' new arrivals with the quarterback and the wide receivers, because there's a bevy of those. Just so many questions surrounding this game, and this is an AFC East battle. I do think this is going to be significant, because I think the AFC is actually up for grabs. I don't have any legitimate. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't have any legitimate concern that concern for any of the other teams going against the Bills. The Bills are the same team as they were last year, and last year they just were not as formidable as it seemed to be at the beginning of the season, right? And so with them not really, not being signing anybody crazy, which by the by, um, oh man, the Cardinals wide receiver is still out there, so they can still acquire him if the Cardinals decide to let him go. But I just don't see, unless something changes, unless I think we've seen the best Josh Allen has to offer. Um, he might be able to take a next step, but I just don't see it with this coaching regime. I don't see how he takes the next step with them. Um, and we saw last year he was, I don't want to say he was lesser, and he did suffer a few injuries, but I just don't see him being that guy because he's still top five, but whether he's 3 or 4, he's probably 3. But every year somebody challenges that, and now Aaron Rodgers is now in this AFC East. So we will see what happens. Don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be the same guy he was 2 years ago. Will he return to MVP form? Who knows? But all of this is happening within the AFC East. It's a big deal. That's a big deal. So the Black Friday game is November the 24th, 2023. The Dolphins at the Jets. And that's going to be an interesting game. I got to work that Friday, I think, but I'm looking forward to this game. Let's talk about the international games. The international games are huge because the NFL wants to grab this international attention. They want the international stage. I think that they believe that they could be, maybe not. Maybe they do think it. I'm starting to think they do feel that it could be an international situation. And if you can dream it, you could do it, you know. But boy, that's a lot of logistics. And don't forget, they had the NFL Europe, and that they closed that shop up, which, you know, that's something all its own. But the international games, they got the international games. For the first game is week 4. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now that's interesting to me because a few years ago we were talking about not that long ago. I want to say 2 to 3 years ago we were discussing, not we, but the NFL was discussing moving the team over to London, and this game is being played in London. I think at Wembley Stadium. So I'm not sure, but it's interesting that the Jags are doing 2 stints over there. They're doing 2 weeks over there, 2 weeks straight. And they were the ones that were talked about moving to England or London to play permanently. And I don't know if this is like the appetizer to do that, but it's interesting. And then they play for another week, second week, week 5. So week 4 is Falcons and Jags. Jags are the home team in that situation. And then week 5, the Jags play the Bills, which the Bills are the home team in that situation. So they get to stay over there. They get to practice over there. They don't have to worry about the flight and all that for the second week. They get to be there for 14 days, as it were. So it's interesting to see that. There's also a game in week 6 in London, and that is Titans at Baltimore, Titans at Ravens. So, that's going to be in London. And then you also got week 9, you got the Chiefs and the Dolphins, which we already knew that was coming because as you saw Chris Jones tweet out to Tyreek Hill that he's lucky he's lucky that they ain't put it in Arrowhead. But then you see week 10, the week right after that, the Colts are going to see the Patriots in England. So you got week 4, week 5, week 6, week 9, and week 10 are all international games. Very interesting stuff. They are expanding their footprint from just American soil to overseas. I'm surprised that there isn't a Mexico game in here. Very, very surprised. I don't know why that isn't a thing right now, but hey, whatever. Let's move on to the Thanksgiving Day games. Thanksgiving Day of obviously November 23rd, the last Thursday of November. And you got obviously the Packers and the Lions, but the Lions should be a different team now. They almost made the playoffs last year. It looks like Dan Campbell is taking a turn in his coaching, and they've got a crew that I didn't really think they drafted well, but I think they've got everything Dan Campbell wants to succeed. And if his method is gonna work, otherwise he's probably gone. So I think he's gonna I think he's always put his best foot forward, but I think it's gonna be even more so with the Lions. And then Green Bay with Jordan Love and his 5th year, his extension, his 1-year extension. So is Jordan Love the guy? We don't know, but by Thanksgiving Day, we probably will know. So then you got, that's the first game. Then the second game is Washington Commanders. I almost called them the football team, but I think I like the football team name better than I like the Commanders name, but whatever. They got the football team and the Cowboys, Commanders and Cowboys. NFC East, nope. Shoot. NFC, let's just put it as an NFC battle, which it obviously is. It's all NFC teams here. And then you got the Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers, which is an NFC West battle. And, of course, these games could mean a lot to the end of the season, to where most of these teams will probably be fighting each other for playoff spots. So these are all division games. That's the NFC North, the NFC East, and the NFC West right here. That's what I was trying to think of when I got tongue-tied there. So let's go on to the Christmas games. The Christmas games, you got the it's not showing up. I don't know why it's not showing. There we go. We got the Raiders at the Chiefs. We got the Giants at the Eagles. And we got the Ravens at the 49ers. 2 of those games, the Raiders, Chiefs, Giants, Eagles, are division games. And then you got Baltimore and San Francisco, which I believe that could be that. This is one of the games I'm circling. Baltimore San Francisco game is one I'm circling. I'm really going to enjoy this one, mainly because Baltimore has really, their offense is now got all eyes on them now that Lamar's got his extension, now that OBJ is playing with them, and they drafted the young kid whose name escapes me, forgive me. And also they've got a whole new staff, and then they might even go after Nuke down in Arizona. So we don't know. DeAndre Hopkins is Nuke, if you didn't know. So they might still go after DeAndre Hopkins if his price isn't too much, which they're giving Lamar everything he wanted. He said he wanted. So We'll see what happens. That's a game I'm circling right there. That's a game I'm circling. Um, I had a graphic that had all the Monday or all the Thursday night games, but those are going to be significant as well. Those are all Prime, Amazon Prime games, and it's going to be a little bit different from the norm. This new season is going to be a little bit different from the norm, and later on during this summer, I will be 32 questions, 32 teams, and we're going to do about 4 or 5 teams per show. And I want you all to be part of that show. I want you to join in to see if you have any specific questions for any specific team. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have. I just wanted to touch base on these big games, like the Black Friday game, the Thanksgiving game, the Thanksgiving games, international games, and then the Christmas games. Let me know if you're looking. I know everybody is buying tickets, and if you're planning on going, I got too many kids to be buying tickets to go to go see these folks. I do want to go, and it sounds like I will be going. Shout out to a friend of mine. I don't know if he wants to be named, but if he does, I will name him. But sounds like he's gonna send me to a game. But I appreciate that. But as far as that's concerned, man, I ain't got it like that. These games are getting way too pricey for me, and these teams are trying to get new stadiums. Buffalo's trying to get a new stadium. I think the Chiefs trying to get a new stadium. It's a lot to go through. So, um, you know, I know y'all planning on making weekends of trips and stuff. So that's why this schedule is significant. It's very interesting to me. Now, before I go, I want to talk about the 5th year option. For those of you that don't know, the fifth year option is for first round draft picks. That's the advantage of having a first round draft pick. It's not just the fact that you pick the guy that you think has the most talent, but it's also you get advantages with the contract. You get the 5th year option instead of having to franchise tag him, um, which means you get more control, cost control. It's not the same as what it was before as far as the pay scale is, but it's a little bit more cost effective to accept that 5th year option. Don't forget, Patrick Mahomes had his 5th year option exercised, and that was able to save a little bit on the cap in order to bring in other players, so forth, so on, and what have you. But I saw a graphic about how many 5th year options were picked up, and this graphic was from the NFL London. Well, it's from the NFL account, and less than half of and I just went out of it. Wow. And less than half of the 5th round draft picks got their 5th year option. They got their 5th year option picked up. Most of the teams did not pick up their 5th year option. I was excited about a guy, Patrick Queen, that got drafted to the Baltimore Ravens middle line. No, line, he was a linebacker, small for his size, but he did not get his option picked up. Brandon Ayuk got his option picked up. The Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. His option did not get picked up. And now I just cannot find it on this thing. But it's a lot of 5th options that didn't get picked up. And it begs the question, is the first round really worth it? Sometimes you have to ask yourself, is our first round draft picks really worth all of that? Because you're not picking up the 5th year option. Half of these guys aren't as good as we think they are. But I think with that being said, I do believe that having the option there is a great thing. But a lot of these guys aren't even living up to that contract. So it's just one of those things that you have to judge for yourself. And obviously, when these teams are drafting these picks, they think they're doing the right thing. And there goes my camera. Wow. But they think they're doing the right thing, so that's what it is. So this is what I get for rushing home trying to do this. Either way, I thank you guys. I thank you all for listening. Guys, gals, the whole 9 yards. I appreciate you all for listening. That's pretty much all I have for today. I apologize for the disorganization, but we're gonna get back on track. Had a rough week for me and my family, but we're gonna get back on track. Next week we'll dive into 32 questions, 32 teams, and it might be earlier in the week, but we will see. So until next time, deuces.